the Rise of Skywalker nearing, Palpatine's return at this point is confirmed. How? Well, I've covered tons of videos on that topic, and if you're a regular here on the channel, then you've heard all of them, pretty much. Palpatine returning through his cloning facility, Palpatine transferring his essence to another body, Palpatine having survived in some way, shape, or form after his fall. Maybe the Red Guards took him and turned him into some cyborg or something. Really, possibilities are endless at this point. However, we're gonna have to wait and see for sure. Regardless of how he'll return, we know he's back, and if the biggest and most powerful bad guy in Star Wars is returning, then so must his counterpart in the Force, Anakin Skywalker. Now, we might get him in the film, and we might not. I'm not here to discuss leaks or the possibility of him returning. Rather, I want to discuss a fan fiction into the future type of thing. A projection, if you will. A projection of a cool way for Anakin Skywalker to return. The entire saga is about Anakin, as George Lucas has said. It's not about Luke, the catalyst who helped Vader become Anakin once again. It's not about anyone else but the Chosen One, the one who will bring balance to the Force, as Qui-Gon always said. So, how should he return? Well, there are many possibilities and theories. He could come back as a Force ghost, to provide guidance to the new characters. That would be kinda lame. He'd perform his duty as some sort of messiah to bring balance to the state of the galaxy at their current timeline. Kinda like how Obi-Wan and Yoda did. He could return as a Force voice, like Qui-Gon in episode 2 and 3. Now, if you're confused about 3, it's because in the novel, actually, Yoda was talking to Qui-Gon when he was looking out on Polis Massa. All of these would be pretty lame in my opinion. I wouldn't really get a kick out of them. They'd just be like, whatever. Now, if Sidious is back, Anakin must be back in the same shape or form. A portal must be opened between the living and the dead. I mean, we saw how powerful Yoda had become in The Last Jedi, able to touch Luke, able to Force blast that tree with lightning. These are all things we didn't understand about Force ghosts before, and I think Force ghosts have the ability to become even more powerful than humans. And this harkens back to what Obi-Wan said in A New Hope: if you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Maybe the answer is to learn how to become a Force ghost, and through becoming a Force ghost, then you can return to the living. And this, funny enough, is actually something that George Lucas had written himself in the original Revenge of the Jedi script, which later turned into Return of the Jedi. I have a couple more videos that I'm going to release regarding the Revenge of the Jedi script, which I know you guys have been interested in. Okay, so, if Sidious is back, which he is, Anakin must be back in the same shape or form. A portal must be opened between the living and the dead. This portal has been shown to us in Rebels, the world between worlds, so we know that it exists. They used it to bring back a major character, Ahsoka Tano. If Rey or Kylo were to realize that Palpatine's powers is far beyond theirs, then there's only one way to bring him down: to open the portal between worlds, and they must do it quickly, and bring someone who is powerful enough to take him down. Imagine they finally get the key to opening the portal, and all the Jedi from the past roll through. I mean, it would literally just be the scene from Endgame, but Star Wars style, and you know what? I'd be down with this. I'd be okay with it. This is the last Star Wars movie, everyone. I know we're getting the Obi-Wan show and the other trilogies and whatnot, but think about it. This is the last Star Wars movie from the original one that George Lucas made to start it all off in 1977. This caps and completes the Skywalker saga. This ends it all. If they don't take some crazy risks, then I don't really know how I'm going to feel about it. I want them to go absolutely wild with their ideas and leave nothing on the drawing table. Don't play it safe. Imagine that we get Palpatine bringing his younger self back. And no, it's not far-fetched, because Lord Momin did this in the canon Vader comics. He literally had Vader create a portal underneath his castle that took dozens of tries to get right. But once it did, he went in there and fought all the Jedi. Saw Palpatine creating Anakin as a baby in Shmi's stomach, and then he saw a weird, creepy, evil Padme. This is all possible, and I'm just taking plot points from the canon material and plugging them into Episode 9, so it's not completely out of left field here or far-fetched. Now, the thing about Lord Momin is that it's a really interesting story, because Palpatine knew all about it. Lord Momin was this ancient Sith worshipper. He was an artist at the end of the day. He made really creepy, weird art, but he was an artist. Now, I'm going to include some parts of my old comic where I covered the canon story of Lord Momin. If you haven't seen it, you'll enjoy it. If you have seen it, I'm going to put a timestamp so you can jump and skip and resume the video. Vader is immediately transfixed by the beam of red light cast by Lord Momin, allowing him to see the memory Momin commands. He tells Vader of something he came to understand at a very young age. As his mother walks into the room, asking him where the Rasta cat was, mentioning how terrible of an idea it was in the first place to get it. She pauses mid-sentence, as we get horrifying images of a sharp blade, intestines, and what looks like blood and guts to be used on a canvas.
If people feel nothing when encountering something you have created, then you have created nothing. Pain and fear are the purest of all emotions, because they are the first we feel at the moment of birth.
As we see Momin walking the streets, every person on his planet in the crowd is horrified and struck with fear and pain, the two emotions the artist wished to elicit from his audience. Locking him up for his psychotic display of his cat's insides, he tells Vader that the name Momin came to mean something to anyone who heard it. Claiming to be a sculptor of the mind, they locked him away for his work. But his name echoed through the galaxy, where a dark side user came to his rescue and freed him. Her name was Shah. She made him his apprentice and taught him everything she knew. Then, her apprentice killed her in her sleep. Wrong story. He killed her in their sparring duel.
I would never be so bold as to call myself a master, but an apprentice? I think not.
Killing her right there, he went on to study the lore of the dark side in ways that we've never seen before, visiting its different sites and respecting it as the only true audience he had that would appreciate his vision. If he could build something worthy of the dark side's grandeur, then perhaps he might become worthy in and of himself. So he set out to build a weapon, telling Vader that anyone can make a powerful weapon, but to be worthy of the Force, he had to make something so much more. His device would burn and set aflame cities. However, just before they would reduce them to ash, he would
pour the Force into the machine and slow time, able to capture all their pain and fear on a scale the galaxy has never known, frozen like insects in sap for anyone to see. Forever. An eternal shrine to the dark side, my masterpiece.
Until he was ambushed and stopped by Jedi, and like that, in a flash, it was over. As he tells Vader no creation is perfect, but it also isn't a waste, that the dark side is sacred but forever hungry. It burns like a flame.
Inferno, it must be fed. Always it seeks fuel. If you do not feed it, then it will feed on you.
Where the mask possesses Vader to the point where he actually slips the mask on, only to come to his senses to throw it to the wall.
No.
Palpatine knew very well what that mask was capable of, and I believe he knew everything that was going on there. So it raises the question, could Palpatine have done something like this to something of his that may belong to Wait, you know what? While I'm voicing this, I think I just realized what Snoke's ring does. I think Snoke's ring kind of acts like Lord Momin's helmet. In some weird way, I think it brings Palpatine's powers through him and allows him to use his powers or something along those lines. Momin built that portal beneath Vader's castle. Snoke's ring comes from beneath Vader's castle. I mean, there are just too many coincidences here to ignore. That's something I totally just thought of right now. It's not even scripted or anything. Anyways, I don't really know where I was, but all I want to say is that Momin's helmet could pretty much act like Palpatine's, or it could also act like Vader's, where Kylo is so obsessed with it because he's trying to basically have, put the mask on or something, or, oh my god, I just thought of another theory. Wow. Okay, maybe Kylo is putting his mask together with Vader's helmet because it'll allow him to control Vader or become Vader, or allow Vader to speak through him or through someone else. Kind of like what we saw. Wow, okay, I think this all just kind of makes sense now. Could you imagine if that happens? That'd be really cool. Now the question is, will Disney go for this plot? I honestly don't know, and that's not really my job. My job is to theorize and put together the piece of lore and canon material to make a plausible outcome for certain plots and characters to return. For your entertainment, and, maybe mine. Now imagine if Palpatine cloned Vader or created a cyborg Vader like Grievous. No Force powers, but his physical power was the same. That would still be a terrifying sight to see, but it would be super cool. Or if he did learn how to create Vader with the Force and unleash him on the Resistance, it'd be weird from a story standpoint, but I think I'd get over it. I'd be so starstruck of the scenes that we'd be getting of Vader just decimating the rebellion or the Resistance that I'd be okay with this. So, if Anakin comes back, then what? Well, then he takes his lightsaber back from Rey, ignites it, and boom, the Chosen One is back in action. What does Rey use? Well, I'm sure there are other lightsabers that Luke had for his students, or Leia or something had laying around somewhere that she could use or make for herself. Imagine Kylo, Rey, and Anakin together as Palpatine confronts them. Or, something even cooler, Anakin showing up when all hope is lost. Perhaps the rebellion is working on opening the portal while Palpatine is killing Rey and Kylo, and they finally do it, and Anakin just walks through, ready to finish what he started in Return of the Jedi by killing Palpatine once and for all. I can see it perfectly now. Palpatine is hovering over the heroes, Kylo and Rey, and all of a sudden, we see the Skywalker lightsaber flicker just like it did in The Force Awakens and being pulled into the distance, into the dark, where it's ignited and it illuminates the face of the Chosen One, of Anakin Skywalker. Now, realistically, how do I think Anakin's going to return? Well, probably as a Force ghost. He could be a wandering or floating guide, or he could show up to give his ghostly powers to one of the characters at the very end, to let his powers flow through him one last time and kill Palpatine forever, or flow through her and, kill Palpatine forever. This would be kind of like a Harry Potter 4 moment. For those of you who have seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. Imagine we get all of the main Force ghosts, including Anakin, to give their powers to Kylo or Rey in a definitive moment in killing Palpatine forever. Since we know Force ghosts can interact with the living now, really what's the difference between being alive and being dead? So it brings up the question, can Force ghosts die? This will be another video that I'm going to be making. Okay, so we've exhausted Anakin as a Force ghost and him coming back in the flesh. But what if it's neither of those? What if it's some type of flashback where we see a scene that we've never seen before? Maybe something like Vader going to his chambers and taking his mask off, as we see Anakin's face processing things, or dealing with his new life, or whatever it may be. That would be pretty mental. I would love to see some new footage of past events that we've always wondered but never seen before. Like, what did Vader do right after Luke escaped his grasp on Cloud City? What did Vader do after he was looking out to the Death Star in Episode 3? What would happen if Kylo saw a Force vision or a flashback of Vader, much like Rey did? What if he literally sees Vader before him, igniting his lightsaber, like in Rogue One, and Kylo gets freaked out, falls backwards, and sees his grandfather walk through him to fight remaining Jedi of Order 66? I mean, the possibilities of things they could do are literally endless at this point. I just really hope they do them. It's all about Anakin's story at the end of the day. Without him, none of this would be here. With Palpatine coming back, so must Anakin. So let me know how you think he's going to return. Or maybe you think he won't entirely, which would be really sad to me. I would love him to come back. Hayden Christensen must return to reprise his role as Anakin Skywalker. Thank you for watching this theory. Please leave a like if you did enjoy it, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.